I apologize if I sound sick. It's because I am. Back in the early 1900s, cars were considered super luxurious. Made one by one, these handcrafted pieces of art, essentially, allowed the rich folks to travel from point A to B faster than any horse. In fact, probably faster than most racehorses of the day. Sadly, again, only the most wealthy could participate in this fantastic new invention, and a lot of people were left out. We take for granted our accessibility to consumer goods, especially our vast availability, and nobody really ever takes a moment to look at what they own and think about how it was created or how effectively it was created. Henry Ford is the man that has revolutionized the automobile and set the pace for modern day production in factories all around the world. Henry Ford is known mostly for his creation of the first successful mass-produced car, as we all know from elementary school, the Model T. Henry Ford, the reason that this car was so successful is because Henry Ford sought out a different demographic for this car, other than the super rich. A group of people that had a lot of potential in the market, that being the middle and lower class. But the middle class was kind of lacking around this time because of large companies. So he decided to create a middle class to buy his own car. Henry then decided to raise almost double the wages in all of his factories to create this said target for his automobile sales. Henry Ford deserves a lot of credit in the United States for essentially creating the middle class laborer in the US, and most of our families have felt this wave, whether it be our grandparents in a General Motors factory or our great-great-grandparents in a Ford factory back in the day. Gone were the days of having to be ultra rich to afford these automobiles. Not only did Ford create an affordable automobile, but he created a revolutionary process by which these cars were manufactured. Henry Ford is credited with the creation of the moving assembly line, allowing his cars to be cranked out by the millions towards the end of their production. And this is how most of the stuff that we own today is created, whether it be the screen that you're watching this on or the phone that you have in your pocket. And it's pretty amazing that this was achieved back in that day. According to the Museum of Natural History and National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C., the Ford Motor Company made over 15 million cars in just under 20 production years, which is pretty insane even in today's time. The moving assembly line is the reason the moving assembly line was so effective was because it assigned one job to one person, and this made it so that the people did not have to be as trained, and a lot of uneducated, which or could be hired. And as we know from history class, a lot of these uneducated people formed most of the society because kids had to work and they didn't have time to go to school. And like I said before, doing so, he created his own clientele to purchase this automobile. And that was why his Model T was so successful. Henry Ford paved the way for modern day mass production, and that's how it is. Jump to today's time, where everything you own was created on some form of moving assembly line, even though automation has been taking a big part over the last decade. Henry Ford is someone to thank for the absolutely vast availability of consumer goods and the revolutionary form of personal transportation. And this allows most have multiple cars in the driveway. It is the great thinkers of yesterday, like Henry Ford, that will keep the youth today to create and innovate.